Closing ratio. What's your closing ratio? Do you know your closing ratio? Would you like to increase your closing ratio? I'm going to give you some tips on how to do this. This was a request by one of the messages left on one of our videos, so we're going to capture it right now. I'm Ron Ramsden. I'm a DYB coach, painting contractor up here in northern Massachusetts. What is your closing ratio? An example, this gentleman went on 10 estimates and he only received 2 of the jobs. So he had a 20% closing ratio. I'll give you a couple tips here how what we do, what's worked for us, brought our closing ratio to about 52-54% as of right today. So anyways, let's get right to it. Prequal a customer. When a customer either phone calls, we use an online system called You Can Book Me as an option. We have questions that we're actually pre-qualifying the customer. But when a customer calls, you're returning the phone call, or if you actually grab the phone while they're on it, there's some questions you can ask. You know, one of the first ones that I ask, but it's a little tougher to ask that, do they have a budget for the job? We're not known as a small contractor. We do larger jobs, so we want to know if there's actually a budget. How did they hear about us? You can actually go through it either way. You know, how did they hear about us? So, you know, we want to know especially if it's a past customer who's referred us, because that gives us a leg up on any competition we may have for getting the job. Do they own or rent it? In some different areas, they might be repainting a small one-bedroom apartment. Is that something you want to do? Why are you going to look at something like that? Hopefully, down the road, they're going to give you more work. They're not going to give you more work. Or, have you ever heard this one? I own multiple homes. If you give me a really good deal on this home, I'm going to give you the other ones. You know what my answer to that is? How about if we price this regular and I will give you a discount on the second one? That ends all conversations. They're just looking for the best price out there. They don't want quality, they want price. So, and you can't have both. So, what's your time frame? Maybe it's not so you're on the phone and you don't know what to tell this person, and they're like, well, we'd like to get it done within the next 2 weeks. Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, sorry, sir, that we're booked out for 2 months. Does that work for you? If not, you know, we can always hand all these painting estimates off to another painter that you may, especially if you don't want them. Maybe you have a painter in your back pocket you know through the paint store. He's an old friend of yours. He's a 1 or 2 man show, and just say, hey, I know this guy Jim. He's a great guy. Let me forward you his information, and you can touch base with him. Tell him that Ron called or Ron sent you. Works out great. But anyways, pre-qualify before whatever your questions may be. Ask them those questions before you get to the job. You're going to find out that a lot of these times you don't even want to go look at the job. What if you're not a lead contractor and they want lead removal? When was the house built? Oh, 1841. Well, if you're not doing lead, this is something that you shouldn't be looked at. So look at the stuff you want to do. You know what your good little niche is. Aim for that stuff. So anyways, after you pre-qualify them, we set the appointment in the calendar. Either they did or we did. Could be some time in between. We see them and we talk to them, and then we actually go see them. So what we like to do is we like to send them a video. I have a video I made in my own house. It just says what to expect on your upcoming painting estimate. Walks through what I'm going to do, how I'm going to arrive, who's going to be there, my face. I'm also asking them that question. I want you to think about this, and what is a great painting experience to you? And the reason we ask this on the video is sometimes when I used to do it right in person, it surprised them and they didn't know what to actually say. Many of the comments I have is about their animals, their kids, dust, things like that, and also that the guys arriving at the house to work on it, they're not sketchy people. So we also then forward the crew leader's face and stuff like that with a little bio about the crew leader. So we're staying on top of mind. So when we get to the house, they're not, oh yeah, I forgot about you were coming. They know we're coming because we've emailed them once or twice with different information. We'll also put them on our mailing list, at that email mailing list at that time. They might be getting some information about a charity job we're doing or something else. So they feel that we're part of the community also. So make sure you ask that question, what's an exceptional paint experience going to be? When you arrive at the house, I put that over here, but arrive like a pro. Show up, nice clean car if you can. I know sometimes, it's, depending on the weather here in New England, we can't always have a clean vehicle. Have it leaded. Park in front of the house where they can see you when they look out their window. don't park in the driveway. You never know who's coming, who's going, if your vehicle's going to leak or something like that, especially if it's an older one. Park right on the street. Also lets you know, the neighbors know that they're having a painter and they'll see your vehicle. Dress appropriately. It's the polo shirt and a pair of khakis. Okay, so we'll get this New England thing done right now. It's car keys, CARKEYS, or something you start a vehicle with. Khakis are something you wear as pants. So maybe if you're an active painter, you're still out in the field, you have an extra polo shirt, and you put a set of khakis in the vehicle, and you change when you get out of work and head over. What a great first impression. You can never get that one back. So knock on the door at the time. If it's 5 o'clock at night, knock on the door at 5 o'clock. Don't be 10 minutes early. They might have 3 things going on. They might be cooking. They might have kids running around. They might have a dog who doesn't want to see you, or maybe they're not home. You know, don't surprise them. Show up on time. It'll go a long way. So if you can't close on the spot, if you ask to write the estimate right there, if possible. If you can't, if they'll allow you to sit at your kitchen table or go out into your van. Sitting at the table is the best. Go out to your van, your truck, if you have a portable printer. There's so many opportunities with Estimate, Rocket, Pipeline, PEP, and other estimating software to actually produce it right there in a very quick manner. But if you do need more time, if they're not ready to close on the spot, ask them when you can follow up. So say, will be okay if I follow it up Tuesday at 7 o'clock? And they say, oh no, how about Wednesday at noon? Get a time that you can follow up so you're not intruding and they're expecting your call. And then, hey, it's Ron from Ramsden 1-800-Painting, just following up on that project. If you had any questions, and if not, if you do, would you like to schedule the work? Something like that. You'll have your own monologue, you'll get to it, but practice ahead of time, it comes out a lot quicker. Also, you got to ask if you can follow up, and then with a specific time. So if you didn't close on the spot, once you find you start closing on the spot, it's a lot easier. It also saves you time down the road because you're not running home and doing the estimate in your office or whatever. And also, if you're going to send the estimate over the next day, or you'll say, hey, give me 24 hours. Don't take too long. They're expecting that. They're excited. They want to get this project going. If they wouldn't have called you up, say, you'll have the estimate, a proposal by tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the evening. Does that work? Yes. Get it there earlier. See if you can get it to them at 5 o'clock at night, and write as promised. And they're gonna know that you care. You follow up with your word is good, and you're a good guy or girl. So, anyways, after the appointment, send them a thank you note. This is one of the ones we use here. It's our logo on top, blank on the back side, just to thank them for the opportunity that they gave us. Mrs. Smith, thank you so much for allowing me to see your beautiful home. I look forward to working with you. Something short and sweet, but hand address the outside envelope. Nobody sends personalized cards anymore. You'll be 2 steps above your competition if you do that. So, okay, and if you don't get the job, oh no, you can't get every job. If you got every job, you'd be too busy anyways. You didn't get it. Follow up 2-3 weeks from now. See if you can touch base. Pick up the phone. What can they say? They can hang up on it. They didn't hire you anyways. Follow up and say, hey, this is Ron from Ramsden 1-800-Painting. I know I didn't get your project, but I was wondering, how did the project go? And they'll say, well, the contractor never showed up. He put me off twice. He did this, he did that. Yeah, they weren't as good as they weren't. And he goes, worst case, they go, we're very happy with him. Thank you, follow up. That's it. Done. But it gives you that second and third chance to get back in the door. You never know what happened. Maybe what you offered and what they gave was totally 2 different things. Quick story. We had a project a while back that we bid on, and it was going from a conversion from stained wood to white trim throughout the entire house. The homeowner just had a newborn baby, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months old. They were planning on moving out while the work was being done because they didn't want the fumes for the baby. So my proposal was about $2,500 more than everybody else. It would tend not to be the cheapest ones around. And she picked someone else, and they're actually my neighbors, so I see them quite often. And they stopped and said, I said, oh, how'd that go? She goes, well, it came out really nice, but we didn't know that he was a one-man show, and sometimes he had a helper. we had to move into my mother-in-law's house, you know, and I had said 4 to 5 days because we were bringing an entire crew in. She says, we lived there for almost 5 weeks. So she said, at that point, we wished that we had paid you the price that you asked. So there's a couple things that you can play with there, just an idea that's the follow-up. We ended up painting some exterior work for them a year later or so on the outside of their house. So, you know, pre-qual the people as they're coming in, follow up in between the scheduled time and the time you talk to them on the phone. You'll be 2 steps ahead of everybody else. Try to close on the spot. Ask them when you can follow up. Send a personalized thank you card. And if you don't get it, still follow up to let them know that you're around for this project and future projects. I'm Ron Ramsden. I'm a DYB coach. If you need to touch base with me, I'm at ron@dybcoach.com. That's a great way to send me a message, an email. If not, find me on Facebook. I just help contractors work on the business so they don't have to work in the business. Have a great day.